Joining me now with more, Director of Policy and Government Affairs at the American Principles Project, John Schweppe. John, thanks so much for being with us. It's great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. So, what are your thoughts, John, on the allegations against Facebook claiming they misled parents about protections for children, which violated consumer protection laws?
Well, look, I know there's some Republican concerns about the FTC overreaching, but this appears to be legitimate. Facebook is continuing to target minors, to monetize their data, to do all these different things, and there's real concern there about the harm their products are doing to minors. So, arguably, you could make the case that this should be within Congress's purview, and it's good to see Congress acting on some manner with legislation to hopefully address these. But I think the FTC is making the correct call here, and we really do need to crack down on what these companies are doing to our kids.
Now, in light of this, the Federal Trade Commission has proposed a ban on Facebook's practice of monetizing data collected from kids under 18. I'm always wary of government control, and I think the solution may come from real parental controls and guidance. What do you think about that?
I think that's got to be part of it. But, Senator Schatz actually made a pretty good argument. When we're talking about 12-year-olds, I don't even know that parental permission is enough there. I think we should be able to decide, hey, that's too young, and it should be the policy of the United States to not have big tech companies catering to them. But ultimately, parents do need a lot of help, and these companies don't really provide it. They kind of leave it to them, like, hey, figure it out for yourselves, especially when we're talking about, explicit content, obscene content. And, parents need a lot of help here. And so that's why I think in Congress, certainly, we need to prioritize cracking down on these big tech companies and making sure that they are actually, really going out of their way to protect kids, because that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Now, while we're on the topic of Zuckerbucks, Georgia is enacting legislation to prohibit private funding for election administration, which has ultimately allowed money to be donated to local election offices across the country. Is this legal?
Well, I think it should be legal to prohibit that activity. And ultimately, we saw what happened. Not only did big tech censor and interfere in the elections that way, but they were deliberately targeting blue areas to try to get out the vote to help Joe Biden win. And we should obviously not be doing that. So I think, ultimately, these election agencies should be separate from these corporate influence. And definitely we should be protecting against that to ensure the integrity of our elections.
Yes, absolutely. Now, before we go, John, I would like to remind everyone that today is National Day of Prayer. I feel like we need Jesus now more than ever during this current time we're living in. So I want to take a moment to remind everyone of the power of prayer. For me personally, it's one of the most wonderful ways to connect with the Lord and gain better perspectives on situations that are happening. So I just want to know, John, how do you feel prayer can benefit members of our society and why this is so important?
Well, Tucker Carlson recently talked about this, saying, let's just take 10 minutes a day to pray for our country. It's something that even Christians, I struggle with this too. We need to do it and make sure that we're doing it. And so I think ultimately it can't hurt, right? And really our country does need to be prayed for. We have really evil powers that be that are trying to attack our families and attack our communities. And I think the only way to push back is to have a little bit of divine intervention. And so prayer is definitely a big part of that.
Absolutely. It's a spiritual battle indeed. And I think prayer can help immensely with that. And there's definitely strength in numbers. So the more, the merrier. John, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Please let people know where they can find you and follow you for more.
I am on Twitter at John Schweppe, and then I also have a Substack, johnschweppe.substack.com.
Thanks so much, John. Take care.
Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.